So today, this is the gear. Merc from Yulay soaps. And I'm going to take the Personna Med Prep, put it in the Wolfman. This is a Wolfman WR1, and it is the 46 gap, which is a very mild gap for that particular model. I've got, I think this is the H1 handle, which I'm really liking. I wish it was the hollow version, but I'm really liking it anyway. And we're using the Semogue Owners Club. Been soaking for 15-20 minutes. The boar brush. The Yulay soap here is one that a brand that I got into when I first started a few years ago, because I thought a lot of the concepts and designs that she had on her website looked interesting. I found several scents that sounded really good, and I ordered a bunch of samples. But when I got them, they were kind of pressed, squeezed out of almost like a cake nozzle, and they looked like little dollops, little swirly dollops. And the feeling I got as I was using them, it took quite a bit of product to give me the shave that I needed. And I ended up just not really using those samples and just letting them sit around. I remember one called Bacchus that smelled really good. It had kind of a boozy feel to it and a boozy scent. And but Merc, I actually got this in a lot purchase, and I enjoyed the kind of harsh smell of this one. I don't know whether it was kind of like a tar or some kind of musky pieces to it, but I really enjoyed it. It was kind of in the same vein as Midnight Stag, where there's probably a lot of guys out there who would not like it. But here's the thing, it's been a few years now, and this has sat around with the lid tight, and the scent's pretty much gone. So that's unfortunate. And this did used to have a really nice scent. So this is in the little series that I'm near the end of, maybe 2 more soaps left, where I am using up soap bases that I often don't pull out of my inventory to use, because I started the series when my nose was not letting me smell anything because I got COVID. And now I'm pretty much back to full strength in terms of smelling. And so, but we're still going to finish out this series. Now, this fairly firm. Now, when I got my samples, and the normal Van Yulay consistency is quite soft, and my recollection is you had to use quite a bit of product to get an adequate shave. And so what I want to do is we're going to get a good scoop here. I am not going to load from the puck because I could undershoot it, overshoot it, that sort of thing. Because the point here, one of the things I want to know is this going to, how much product does it take to get a good shave? And I find that most soaps, a 1/4 teaspoon, which is what this is. Well, how about that? How about that? Here we are. A little spice to your shave watching journey there, I guess. When I suction cupped the mount to the mirror, I suppose I didn't press it in as much as I should have, and so it eventually lost suction after a few minutes. So there's the drama for today. I'm using a rounded 1/4 teaspoon, and if this gives me just enough lather to do the job, then I'll know that this is a soap similar to perhaps Holy Cow or Chiseled Face Silk Tallow or something like that, where I'm going to need more product to get the right amount of lather. If this is double what I need, then that kind of goes counter to what my previous experience was. And I'm going to press this into the bottom of my lather bowl. It is fairly soft now that I've kind of hoked it out. Still, the scent's gone. Now, one cool thing about Van Yulay, they call themselves soap of the gods, right? Well, I'm all about truth in advertising, and I think kind of like some of the things that Mr. Fine does from Fine Accoutrements, how he called a razor the world's finest razor, you know. Calling it soap of the gods is a little bit of a step. A little bit of a far step. Now, one cool thing that I like about Van Yulay is I heard that you can contact her and she will make you a custom scent. If you haven't found a scent that you like with certain notes in it, or you just want to fool around, now maybe you have to buy 3 tubs of it. Maybe you have to buy a certain amount to make it worth her while. But you know, she's got a bunch of scents that she can use as tools and as components. And so, you know, that you're able to make use of those, and then you tell her what you want. Like, I don't know how to do it, like 2% jasmine, 20% sandalwood, you know, 80% patchouli. I mean, whatever you want, however you want to do it. But I've heard that can be done, and that sure is neat, right? What if you are like, had some ideas, like some of the cool things coming from Southern witchcrafts, like apple and wine, some of the pomona. But what if that didn't exist? And so you had that thought yourself. And so through her, you might be able to actually bring that to fruition as a workable shave soap, right? So that she's got that going for her. So we've got that heaping 1/4 teaspoon. Now, some soaps don't even need a 1/4 teaspoon to give me tons of lather. They're more concentrated. 1/8 of a teaspoon or slightly more than that is plenty to have 4 passes of lather. Because I do like to have a little kind of a margin pass. Now, I do have my hat on today just because I've been wearing it all day, and I've got the bill turned around in douchebag mode so that you can see my eyes, you know, during the shave. You know, the bill would obscure them in the shade. All right, I'm gonna get the blade in the razor now before my fingers get all wet and stuff. This Med Prep, as you can see by the dots under there, doesn't have too many uses on it, I don't think. I tried the Pole Silver in this low gap Wolfman earlier yesterday, and it worked really well. I'm happy to have found a blade that this milder razor works well with. I assumed that I would, but I was getting a little discouraged because I have tried a bunch, but that Pole Silver does, and I do have a decent stock of Pole Silver left because I did see those going down in inventory. I saw it as potentially a real thing, and at some point it wasn't going to be just an empty threat. And so I did buy some, and I use them about 30 times before I throw them away at the minimum. So I'm going to get a good many uses out of my 100 or 200 that I have in stock. All right, so we've got that there. But before I start mixing up the lather, let me get my face wet. All right. As usual, I will shake out much of the water here, and we'll tilt you down. It is unfortunate that the scent is reduced significantly. I'm kind of thinking what I'm smelling is the soap base and not any kind of scent notes, but it is kind of a harsh type, manly type scent, and so, you know, maybe that's kind of what I'm smelling, but it honestly could just be the soap base itself. Of course, if you're going to buy a scent from somebody, you're generally not going to have it sit around for 3 or 4 years before you use it. So if you do get a custom scent made from Van Yulay, then you're probably going to be enjoying it over time. And so maybe the fact that the scent on this one has kind of gone away, maybe that's not really a factor for you. And we're not looking at a whole lot of lather, are we? But we'll see if by adding more water we get a bit of an explosion. Again, I forgot to bring my jigger down here, so we're just kind of going to add a little bit of water as needed, almost like kind of a scoop of the hand. And then mix it in, and then get some more in a minute. I remember it being a reasonable performer. Definitely not a junk soap, but also not one that you're gonna write home about really in terms of performance. Not one that's gonna displace Sterling or Barrister and Man. Somebody like that. It's looking nice and creamy and getting some body to it now. Little hand scoop of a little bit of water. I might guess half a teaspoon at a time by that method. Some soaps do really kind of explode in volume when you kind of start adding water. A little bit more. So I'm not going to be able to record how much water I used, but that's okay. I did pour over her great number of soaps for a while before picking my choices, and she's got some really neat ideas. A lot of scents to choose from. Scents for all kinds of genres, all kinds of personality types. She also has other soap-related products, skincare products, and other scented items. I mean, maybe things like candles. I'm not sure, but I just remember there being a lot of products to choose from. Okay, well, this has gotten some structure to it here. You can see it's not moving. You can see the ridges are kind of well defined and sharp. It's got a little bit of a kind of a puffy nature to it. This time I just dipped my water in underneath the little stream of, I dipped my brush with the lather in it underneath the water stream just to put a little water in the brush. So now we can mix that in. And the scent is not jumping out, it's not turning into anything. It smells just like a kind of an unscented soap base. And I think maybe that's about as much water as we're going to add to it. We don't want to overdo it. Almost 24 hours of growth. I mean, I said about, I mean to say about 24, probably a little over 24. Maybe 6 hours over. So we'll see how the med prep works inside this particular Wolfman. It feels very light here, the lather. Let's see how it behaves when we pull it up and let it move. There you go. It's got a little bit of fluidity to it, a little bit of weight due to the water. All right, let's just give that a shot. I'm going to get my face wet one more time. And let's see what a brush load of Van Yulay will feel like today. You can see it's kind of wet. Maybe I needed to work it a little bit longer to get some wet spots out. Calming down now. This brush has got maybe 62 uses on it, something like that. Not a whole lot. It's comfy. It doesn't eat lather anymore. It splays nicely, but the tips are still kind of ropey feeling in some cases because they have yet to split. Though around the edges I am seeing a good number of split tips. So it's getting there, but it'll take a bit. I want to keep using it. I've got a junk brush I'm going to try that hair dryer method on, where you really get a boar brush saturated with like a day-long soak in water. And then you pull it out and you blow dry the hairs. Not enough to burn them or anything like that, but, and I may even be a little on the conservative side and not use heat. Just use the cool feature. I think that could be less damaging to the hairs, but I started putting together the data. I've got, a dozen boars that are about 26 uses, and I'm going to be retiring if I want to get those guys to a lot of uses. I want to enjoy them. So either, I think I have a couple of choices as I work the lather into my face here. Looks like it's settled down pretty well. I'll work it into my skin so that it's as slick as possible and protects me well. So I can either, with my boar brushes, I could reduce the number down to just a select few so that I could really hit them hard with uses to maybe, I don't know, five brushes. Or I could start some kind of acceleration plan. Because, if I have, let's say I have 10, let's reduce it by a few, say I have 10 brushes that I'm growing up, then that means that if I cycle through and only use those boar brushes in 1 month, each one is only going to be increased by 3 uses. And if they don't start showing their wonderful, magical split tip qualities and benefits until, let's say, 300 uses. Now, note that pretty much all of them, except for the sterling and the omegas, are already comfortable to use, and so they've got that going for them. But I want to get some to that magical point that I've heard so much about, where the tips are just so split, and so you've got all these tiny little tips at your disposal for just ultra softness, right? And that just comes with a lot of uses. That comes with aging the tips there, getting them to split. And so then what's that? Three uses on a 10 brush rotation. We can get 3 uses per month. And then let's say I wanted to get 300. That's a nice round number, right, to do a calculation. Let's say I wanted to get 300 uses, get them up to 300. Then that's 100 months, right? That's 100 months. And so, that's not quite 10 years. That's a lot of uses. That's a lot of time to try to get these boars, to that point. Wow. That's a long time. Is my math right on that? Yeah, that math works out to 3 uses per brush per month times 12. So 36 uses per brush per year, 36. And if you then want 300, you're looking at almost 10 times that. So that's 10 years of just using that circulation of 10 bore brushes. That's 10 years. And then they're only at the 300 mark. Yeah. I've definitely got to switch to some kind of accelerator for this borathon that I'm doing. I started out originally with maybe 4 bore brushes or 5. And I just kept adding to it. All right, so the lather here has had plenty of time to be on my face. The scent has not developed at all, so it's just an unscented base at this point. Let's see if it works. Mid Prep blade and a Wolfman WR1 46 gap razor, easily moving through the hairs here. I mean, hardly any twinge of tugging. Very comfortable. Doesn't feel like, you know, it's so smooth that you don't have a blade. You know, sometimes you get that. So maybe the Mid Prep is a good match in this one, because I bet the other passes are going to be even more smooth. All right, so let's feel the lather here. It's resisting my squeezing a little bit. That's what I call cushion. But in terms of contact slickness, there's just not really anything there. As I'm moving my finger pad across, it's better than just water. But this soap base is clearly one that's meant to have a little bit less water added to it than this. How about that? So yeah, this is, and we're not looking at a generous amount of lather here, and we were putting a generous amount of soap into the bowl, you know, the rounded. So this definitely looks like one that's going to require a lot of product to get the job done. All right. Going to charge up my brush by pressing it into the lather. Has she changed her soap base since 4 years ago when I ordered? I mean, this soap could be 5 or 6 years old actually. So I'll say that it's possible she changed things up. Has a better base out now. Cross grain. Oh, very comfy. I turn this way, I can't see in the mirror because of the camera's in the way. I don't have as big of a mirror right here to be able to put it off to the side. Well, comfort-wise, it's pretty good. I don't feel like I'm getting as much protection as I would with a better soap. Definitely down on my list of performing soaps, and maybe that's kind of what I was experiencing years ago, and why I kind of shelved this brand in general. All right, let's charge up the brush again. It's really too bad. The scent is just gone. I really did enjoy the scent. It was daring, bold. Not a whole lot like it. The lather feels good in terms of the brush on my skin. So it's got that going for it at least. It's just not really, it's one of those lathers that kind of puffs up, but in terms of real substance, there's not much there. And so sometimes all you need to do is run it a little drier, and that's what the soap is designed to have done, you know. And so it's to make it a fair comparison, I would need to shave with this one again and not use as much water, not take it to quite that. You saw how that glob behaved, and keep it a little more dry than that. But I'm not really interested in using this soap again. Still very comfortable. Interesting. A slide against the grain angle right there. This blade is not one that's super smooth. It's kind of got an edge to it. Not a lot of secondary slickness here. Really, wow, yeah, you need to definitely kind of re-lather before shaving an area again. Now, I always want to be fair, because if I'm not using the soap the way it was designed to be used, then that's not the soap's fault. That's my fault, user error, right? But to be honest, there's so many soaps out there that I can run this wet, and it can be this light, but they still maintain their slickness, and they can even be more translucent on my face than this experience right here. I mean, you guys have seen it if you're a faithful watcher. You can just see through the lather to my skin, but they have imparted that slickness, that tiny layer of slickness on my face, and so they're doing their job. And they protect. I don't feel very well protected with this base. I do feel a tiny little bit of a twinge down here, a little bit of razor burn there, but that's probably my fault technique there. So I'm not going to hold that against it. So Merc, I mourn the loss of that scent. As I said, I enjoyed it. But I don't mourn the fact that I'm not going to use that soap base anymore. Like I said, maybe I do need to get some of her current samples to see if her base has changed. Or send her a message and ask her. I'm sure she'd be glad to tell me. I think she's got a good reputation for being responsive to her users, her customers. And I'm glad today, because of the little neck stuff. I'm glad that I have a non-alcoholic splash type product. I have a balm style product, a Liniment here. Declaration Grooming, try this soap. And this is the Liniment from way back in the day. He is doing liniments again. And that's really good news for people who were a fan of that. But this is a treasured piece, because for a long time he wasn't. Finally, some scent. I like this, the original Try This Soap scent. Really enjoy it. It's got a fruity piece to it. I used enough to where you can see a little bit of whiteness, but like sterling balms, it will absorb into the skin. And this is in a sense, it's a lotion specially designed to help your face and your skin after shaving, but it's still a lotion, and so why not put it in other spots, right? Keep your skin nourished and feeling good, well taken care of. Would it be fun if we all got to be old and using our shave products the way we do, and our skin right here and lower was well cared for and looked, like we were 40, and everything above looked all wrinkled and nasty because we always use the balm on our beard part. All right. Well, I wanted to try the Yulay base again. just to see, just to settle in my mind how it was. Oh, it's so good to have a scent, balm, because I just haven't had a scent the whole shave. We do have some lather left over, but like I said, this definitely needed to have less water added to it. And so there would be a little bit less volume, and that's quite a bit of soap to use. And so this does look like a soap base that needs to be run quite dry, and it takes a good bit of product to do it. So, think of it as you will. You may find, as is sometimes the case, that she has a really cool scent that you like, and you haven't been able to find it anywhere else. Well, there you go. Buy her soap and enjoy it, right? But as for me, there are just so many great soap makers out there that are a lot better than this one, and they've got some great scents, and so I think I want to stick with those. This one gets kind of put down quite low on the list, unfortunately. Anything else? So, I might try this Med Prep blade again. With this razor, it may be telling me some things about the Med Prep blade, that maybe it's a little on the edgy side, almost like a feather, where it could potentially stir up some irritation if you don't treat it right, because this is a very mild head here on this razor, and so if it's not controlling the blade, it's got a great grip on it, so it's not fluctuation on the blade edge, it's just the nature of the edge itself. And so was it the soap that was lacking in protection? Was it the lather? Was it not helping my skin to be slick enough? I think that's a real possibility here. So maybe, if I remember, try this same blade, same razor again tomorrow, and see if it's the same, or if it's a better experience because of a better lather, perhaps. So something to try, maybe. All right, well, hey, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves in my douchebag mode hat. Little trivia. In America, we pronounce this as Adidas. That's just how everybody pronounces it. But I learned via a YouTube video that it's actually a German company, and Adidas, or something like that, is really how it's pronounced in its native tongue. So how about that? All of us here in the U.S., we call it Adidas. And most of us, I would say 99.9% of us, don't even know it's a German company. Yeah, but anyway, there we go. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope that this shave has helped you out in some way. I am looking forward to soon getting another Wolfman to try out, one on loan. And it is the WR2 with similar to this one, with a mild head, a 75 gap. I've got the tracking number for the guy who sent it to me, and so I'm anxiously awaiting being able to try that one. I've never tried out a WR2 with that low of a gap, and I'm looking really forward to it. So this is the WR1 with a very low gap, and soon we'll be trying a WR2 with the same. I'm looking forward to that. And you guys take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.